You ever just stop and wonder, why are we here? I mean, really, what's the point of any of this? Is there such a thing as right and wrong? The big questions. Well, in this explainer, we're going to look at one philosopher's incredibly blunt answers to all of them. And then we'll dive into a powerful critique that asks if his guide to reality is actually based on science or maybe something else entirely.
Okay, so let's get right into it. The philosopher's name is Alex Rosenberg, and he wrote a book called The Atheist's Guide to Reality. In it, he promises to give us a straight-up, no-nonsense look at life, without any illusions. He just sets out to answer those huge questions directly. And when I say directly, I really mean it. So you might want to brace yourselves for this. He kicks things off with maybe the biggest question there is. What is the grand cosmic purpose of, well, everything?
And that's it. That's his answer. No long explanation, no beating around the bush, just nope, there isn't one.
Okay, all right. So the universe doesn't have a purpose. Fine. But what about us? What about our lives? Surely there's some meaning there, right? And again, Rosenberg's answer is the same. No cosmic purpose and no inherent personal meaning. It's a real two-for-one deal.
But what about our choices? That feeling that we're in the driver's seat, deciding our own path, that has to be real.
And there it is, the final blow. According to Rosenberg, free will, also an illusion. So just to recap, we've got a universe with no purpose, a life with no meaning, and no free will to do anything about it anyway. So how on earth does somebody arrive at such bleak conclusions? Well, it all comes down to one single foundational belief. For Rosenberg, it all starts with the idea that one specific branch of science holds the keys to absolutely everything.
Rosenberg's entire worldview is built on this one powerful mantra: the physical facts fix all the facts. Now, what he means by this is that reality at its most fundamental level is only what physics describes. Particles, forces, energy, matter. If you can't find it in a physics textbook, then it's not at its core real.
So think about what that implies. If physics is the only true story of reality, then a lot of the things we tend to hold dear are, in his view, just illusions. Things like a soul or objective morality or even free will. They're just incredibly complex side effects of all the physical stuff happening in our brains. They feel real to us, for sure, but according to Rosenberg, they aren't.
But this is where our source material introduces a really critical twist. It starts to ask a question. Are these conclusions really coming from the practice of science? Or are they coming from a philosophical belief about science?
And this brings us to the central argument of the critique. It all hinges on this crucial distinction. On one side, you have science, which is a method, right? A tool for investigating the natural world. But on the other side, you have something called scientism, which is a philosophical belief that science is the only path to any real knowledge. The source argues that Rosenberg isn't just giving us scientific facts, he's pushing the specific philosophy.
And to be fair, Rosenberg himself agrees with the term. He defines scientism as the belief that, quote, science provides all the significant truths about reality, and knowing such truths is what real understanding is about. The key words there are all the significant truths.
And this gets us right to the heart of the critique. The statement that physics is the whole truth about reality, that statement itself is not a scientific discovery. You can't prove that in a lab. You can't observe it through a telescope. And so the source argues that makes it a philosophical claim. It's an assumption you bring to the evidence, not a conclusion you get from it.
So, okay, if we agree that scientism is a philosophy, the next obvious question is it a good one? Well, the source material we're looking at lays out two pretty major problems with it.
The critique really boils down to two big objections. The first is that scientism is self-refuting. Basically, it contradicts its own rules. And the second is that it's just way too restrictive, forcing us to throw out all kinds of things we would otherwise consider genuine knowledge.
Let's unpack that first one. It's a little bit of a brain twister, but it's super powerful. So if it's true that science is the only way to gain knowledge, well, how did we gain knowledge of that particular truth? It certainly didn't come from a science experiment. So in order to state the rule, you actually have to break the rule. The claim kind of eats itself. Now, the second objection is that scientism forces us to deny a whole bunch of things we're pretty sure we know. I mean, think about it. What about the laws of logic or mathematical truths? What about moral knowledge, like knowing it's wrong to harm someone just for fun? Or even just the personal knowledge you have of yourself or of the people you love? The argument here is that any worldview that doesn't have room for these kinds of knowledge has got to be incomplete.
So when you boil it all down, what we're really looking at are two profoundly different, competing ways of seeing reality itself.
So here's where we land. We're left with this philosophical showdown. On one side, you've got Rosenberg's scientism. Reality is only what physics says it is. Real knowledge comes only from science, and any sense of meaning is just an illusion we need to get over. But on the other side, the critique offers a totally different view. Reality is bigger than just the physical world. Knowledge can come from lots of places. Science, yes, but also logic, reason, and experience. And meaning, well, meaning might be a real possibility out there for us to discover.
And all of this leaves us with one final, really provocative question to think about. Rosenberg's goal, remember, is to help us live a life without illusions. But the fundamental question this whole debate raises is this. Is embracing a worldview that says the universe is meaningless truly an escape from illusion? Or could it be just another kind of illusion itself? A kind of faith, but a faith in a particular philosophy, not in science. It's a question that really forces you to think about what you know, and just as important, how you know it.